In today's video, we are going to answer some questions that measure the performance of a whole life insurance policy. When I say performance, I mean the cash value, and then also the commissions of a whole life insurance policy. It's very common for people to ask, what gives me the most cash value? And then also, what does the agent make? Not to say I don't want the agent to make anything or want them to make a ton of money. Typically, people don't care what the agent makes or the broker, but they are interested in the fact that is their cash value designed for maximum cash value? And if it's not, is it not designed for maximum cash value because the agent took a higher commission? That's typically where the concern comes up and where whole life insurance, just life insurance in general, has a bad reputation as a result of that. So let's get on into it and have some fun. We're going to answer two specific questions that we have. The first one is, will a high early cash value product with a 40-60 split, which means 40% of the total payment is directed toward premium and 60% toward PUAs, will a high early cash value product with that design and no term insurance rider produce greater results than a whole life 100 product, which is a traditional policy with a 1090 design? The products we're going to look at in this particular video will all be with MassMutual, one of your four major mutual companies, and we will go through the performance of the different products and also the commission rates with the different products. This way you've got just a transparent picture as to what things actually look like for you and the broker you're working with. So the first question is a performance question. Does it make sense to go with a higher base premium with a particular product, or just take a 10% premium product and juice the cash value with a traditional policy? And as usual, we're going to look at some additional options as well. That what if scenario, what if you look at this option, which gives you even more money, which is the kind of stuff I always like to look at. And then the second question is, what are the commissions on both products, which we will go through that in full transparency. So we're going to compare the following. We're going to look at a whole life 100 product, 1090 design, 10% premium, 90% PUA with a term insurance rider attached. Then we'll look at a high early cash value product without a term rider that has that 40-60 design. If I have a higher base premium, that buys me more death benefit, which raises my MEC limit, and I do not need a term insurance rider with that design. Then we'll also look at a high early cash value policy, so the same product, but with a 10% premium, 90% PUA, and a term rider attached. And then, lastly, we are going to throw a 10 pay in there as well, which is a policy that can be funded for a maximum of 10 years. We're going to look at that comparison too, really in an effort to provide solutions that give you the most cash value if you fall in this particular scenario. Side note, if you're new to all of this, the purpose of adding a term insurance rider to a whole life insurance policy is that it is a cost-effective way to raise the death benefit. And if you fall in the boat where you say, I don't care about the death benefit, it's a cost-effective way to raise that MEC limit so you can still access that cash value tax-free. If we trigger a MEC, we have to deal with taxes. We've got a video up here that goes through details on modified endowment contracts and other taxable events with cash value life insurance policies. So we will look at a 40-year-old male funding a policy at $100,000 per year for 10 years. At the end of the video, we will look at a longer funding period as well, in case you like the idea of funding it for a longer period of time. But we're going to focus on $100K per year for 10 years. And the transparency around commissions, we will look at the base commission rates, which are the absolute minimum commissions that can be paid to brokers. And then what is referred to as override rates, which is basically if you have been in the business for a while, you produce a lot with different insurance companies, or in this case, one insurance company, you earn your way up to receive a higher commission. What I'll add is if a higher commission is paid on the same product to broker A versus broker B, it does not impact the policyholder, so your performance at all. Really, that broker B that's receiving a higher commission is receiving that higher commission because he or she has brought more business to the insurance company. So they're incentivizing them or calling it rewarding them for their hard work. We'll get into that a little bit more when we get into the commissions. What's important to touch on first is the function of the different life insurance products. Because if I'm you, my question is, throw the commissions out the window first, Steve. My question is, which one gives me the most money? if this is me, I'm 40 years old, and you could be 30, you could be 60, it doesn't matter. If you want the ability to pay in $100,000 per year, how do you get the most out of a whole life insurance policy? Having a laser focus on the cash value. Here's how the policies work. So when you have a life insurance policy, if you're going to pay $100,000 in or $10,000 in, you can choose if that money is directed toward the premium or toward that PUA rider. Premium dollars, whatever that dollar figure is, with a traditional whole life insurance product, so a whole life 100, which means you can literally pay into it until the age of 100, you will see 0 of that premium show up in cash value in the first 2 years of a policy. The reason why is how a traditional whole life insurance policy works is that the life insurance company is going to overcharge you, the policyholder, for the cost of insurance. Call it the premium dollars up front. As you continue to make premium payments, those premium dollars do come back to work for you. So it's just not a forever expense. Beginning the 3rd year, you will start to see money come back to work, and it gets better and better. However, this guy, that PUA rider, shows up in cash value right out of the gates. Not all of it. There are PUA fees associated with life insurance products. Different companies have different PUA fees. On average, if I paid in $1,000 into that paid up additions rider, I might see between $900 and $970 immediately. Then it begins to compound, and I see it quickly make up for lost time, meaning it makes up for the fees, and I do have a positive overall cash value. You'll see that as we go through the actual examples. But this paid up additions rider is really the key to accelerating the cash value growth in a whole life insurance policy. So the question we get sometimes is, how low can I go on the premium? Because these dollars do not give me cash value right out of the gates. How do I get more equity, more money I have access to then take advantage for opportunities when they come? And there are limits. We've gone through this before. It depends on the insurance company, the product in some cases. Today's video, we're looking at solely Mass Mutual products. The lowest Mass Mutual will allow us to set that base premium with any product is 10%. That's the minimum base premium with any of these products. So a 1090 split, $100,000 per year, would mean that $10,000, 10% of the 100K, is going toward the base premium. With a traditional whole life insurance policy, 0 of that $10,000 premium shows up in cash value in the 1st and 2nd year. If we look at a high early cash value product, that's different. You'll see about 80% of the premium piece show up in cash value immediately. Paid up additions function in the same manner, meaning when I make PUA payments, that accelerates my cash value. So naturally, when I look at these two, let's assume that you've got the same $10,000 base premium in both of these examples, whether it's a whole life 100 or if it's a high early cash value product. The difference is you'll see 0 of that $10,000 show up in cash value over here, whereas with the high early cash value product, you'll see about 80%, call it $8,000, show up immediately. So you'll have much richer cash values right out of the gates. Some small business owners and large companies are attracted to these products because they do view the cash value as an asset on their balance sheet. That's where a high early cash value product can be advantageous. The difference between it is because the insurance company is not overcharging you for the base premium dollars, call it that cost of insurance in the early years. What they do instead is spread the insurance expenses, the cost, call it, out over the life of the policy. And you'll actually find that the costs are a bit higher. So when you look at the long-term performance of a high early cash value product, it sometimes lags compared to other products like a whole life 100, like a 10-pay, sometimes. Not all the time. It does depend on my age, how long I'm paying into the product. There's other variables there, but it's very common to see this product will lag long-term when I compare it to other products that are designed in an identical manner, same individual, same company, everything being apples to apples. But the big difference here, I get 80% of that premium right out of the gate. And then the 10-pay policy, how this guy works is as follows. Whatever that base premium is, I'll see between 30 and 35% of the premium dollars show up in cash value in the first year. Beginning the second year, I'll see almost all of it come back, and it gets better and better each year. A 10-pay product, I can pay into it for a maximum of 10 years. You will find with limited pay products where I can only pay for a limited period of time, 10 years, a 15-pay would be 15 years. The internal rate of return is typically very favorable compared to other products. And you don't have to pay into it for 10 years either. A lot of times we have folks that say, hey, I know I can pay into it for 10 years, but I really like the idea of funding it for the next 5 years because that's when I'm going to retire, or that's when I'm going to start my own business, or that's when I have a big purchase in mind. I don't want to have to make payments after the fact. You can do that with any product. But the big difference with these, what I wanted to highlight here, is the upfront cash values. So if you wanted a minimum premium, call it $10,000 in a case like this, where you want the ability to pay $100K per year, and you say, I want to minimize the premium because that's what hurts my policy the most, particularly upfront, because that's exactly what happens. In order to drive that premium down to $10,000, you will need to attach a term insurance rider every single time, and that prevents a modified endowment contract from occurring. If you don't like the idea of a term rider, what you can do is raise the base premium, which is the specific question we have up here today, which what we can look at, or what we are looking at, is increasing that premium to $40,000 on the high yearly cash value because we get it up front anyway. So the question is, if I go with this design, a higher base premium on a high yearly cash value product and no term insurance attached at all, will that produce more favorable results than a whole life 100 and even a 10-pay product? Or if you want to throw another one in there, a high yearly cash value with a term rider with a minimum base premium. That's exactly what we will look at. First, we'll go through the commissions and provide transparency there on the whiteboard, and we will look at a full breakdown as well. So how these two products work. We mentioned the base commissions and then also the override commissions. I want to make sure I hit on both here, just because as you talk to different brokers and agents, sometimes only one is disclosed. So let's assume you're working with a new broker, or you just speak with Mass Mutual, you ask them for their commission breakdown and they provide it to you. Here's what it will look like. So when you look at these products, if I take a whole life 100 product, for example, in the first year, the commissions are higher up front to the broker. And this is purely on the base premium. There's commissions on PUAs, but we'll hit on that later. They're very low compared to premium dollars. First year is 55%. So what that means is if you have a $10,000 base premium, you make that payment, the broker would receive $5,500 on a whole life 100 product in the first year. Years 2 through 10, a 5% renewal is paid each year. So you've got a 5% renewal. If the base premium is $10,000, that would be what? $500 per year through the 10th year. With most companies and products, life insurance commissions will stop after 10 years. If you've produced a lot of business with them, sometimes they will continue to pay you a service fee, which is a reduced renewal between 1% and 2%. But generally speaking, the bulk of renewal commissions stop after 10 years on a policy. The high yearly cash value product, how this works, remember for you, the policyholder, they're giving you more money up front. You've got 80% of the base premium initially. So how the compensation works is I've got 11% right out of the gates of that base premium. So that same $10,000 premium would generate what? $1,100 instead of $5,500. Here's the thing though to be aware of. Years 2 through 10, on that base premium, the company continues to pay the same 11% commission. So over time, you'll see that high yearly cash value product is actually more lucrative to a broker if all things are equal. You're going to see where it's really interesting if you increase that base premium, what's in your best interest first from a policyholder standpoint, and then what's in the broker's best interest. If you look at override rates, which is just call it bonus commissions, agencies pay brokers. This will range, it can actually get up to 95% or a little bit higher than that in the first year on a whole life 100 product. Renewals are exactly the same. How it works with the high early cash value is it comes out to just about 18.7, I'm going to round up to 19%. This is actually years 1 through 5, it pays 19%. So those override commissions are enhanced for the first 5 years. And then, let's revise this, the 6th through the 10th year goes back to 11%. So this is neat to see, but we're going to look at some actual numbers with it. Shall we look at the policy performance, you paying money into a policy first to see which one gives you more cash value, or the compensation first? Let's look at the policy performance first. Always good to look at that first and foremost. So what we've got up here, the 1090 compared to the 4060. Before we just jump into the Excel spreadsheet, let's take a look at the actual illustrations to make sure everything is legitimate here, which it is. Let's just go down to our supplemental values to get a breakdown as far as where your money is going. We've got a whole life 100 product. We'll see that up at the top right-hand corner. Whole life 100. There we go. Perfect. And let's see what the performance looks like. Or first, I should say the breakdown. This is a 1090 design. How do you know that as the policyholder? What should you look for if someone tells you this policy is maximized based on the limits that the insurance company offers? Here's exactly what I would look for. I've got $100,000 per year going in. I can see that in my annual outlay column, but premium right here, $10,000. You'll see this follow the base policy insurance. So the base policy insurance is your whole life death benefit, $617,000, and that costs $10,000 in an actual base premium. Then we've got some term riders attached. So we've got some term insurance here, about $1.7 million. Does not cost $5,000. It's several $100s in this example. This rider, this LISR rider, is a combination of term insurance and PUAs. And then we've got a pure PUA rider. We've got other videos that break down illustrations. So as we continue to go through this, here's what I want to touch on. If I'm you, the policyholder, I want to know where my money is going and how the policy functions. This is that whole life 100, that traditional product. What happens with your $10,000 base premium in the first and second year? Doesn't show up in cash value. And you can see that here. If we just isolate year 1, you pay in $100,000. Your net cash value is just about $84,000, little less than 84%. What does not show up in cash value is the base premium, the cost of the term rider, and then the PUA fees. But I got less in cash value than what I paid in. Next year, I pay in $100,000. It grew from $83,700 to $172,200. If I just threw that in a 0% bank account, it'd grow from $83,700 to $183,700. But I got less than the $100K back that I paid in. The reason why is, again, that $10,000 base premium not showing up in cash value in the first and second year. Beginning the third year, now I start to see I get just about all of it back. 172 goes in, I've got 269, and year 3 to 4, I get the 100K back, plus about another 4,000 on top of it. Gets better and better, and I break even between years 6 and 7. We're going to look at this on the Excel comparison sheet to make things a little bit easier. But first, let's look at that high early cash value product, and this will be the 4060 design, which is really what the question is centered around. Because we've seen this, so high early cash value, no term insurance attached to this policy. You can see it here. Where's your base premium? Base policy insurance is where? 40%, $40,000 in this example. Then we've got $60,000 toward a PUA rider. Look at this. So that base premium, how much shows up in cash value in the first year? 80% right out of the gates. So here, even though you've got a significantly higher base premium, what happens? You get your first year cash value. 88.5%. Not too shabby. We can make that look a lot better, but looks better. Break even, just about the same when you look at that. Remember what you had year 7 in that Whole Life 100 product? It's about $712,000. Here at $713,000, not much of a difference. So let's look at the comparison here. This way we don't have to page back and forth, and this will be much easier. So as we look at this guy, on the left, Whole Life 100 with Term Rider. On the right, high early cash value product. So as we scroll down here, go up just one more click. There we go. What do you notice? First 20 years we've got up. We'll go down further. Right out of the gates, look at this in the far right, cash value difference. This represents how much more you have in cash value or how much less you have in cash value with the high early cash value product compared to the Whole Life 100 product. So the first year, this is you paid in $100,000. You've got $88,000 in cash value, which is about $4,800 more than what you would have had in the Whole Life 100. And this is with a $40,000 base premium. Now, as time passes, what do you notice here? Year 2, Whole Life 100 product. Remember, they overcharge for that in the first and second year. This is where we're going to see the biggest difference with the high early cash value in the first 2 years when we compare it to the Whole Life 100. But as time passes, what happens here? While we pay into it for 10 years, we've had more money with that high early cash value product. What happens year 11? Well, we see the Whole Life 100 product start to zip ahead. And if we look at the guarantees among Mass Mutual products, you'll always see that Whole Life 100 policy produced greater value because it's got a higher guaranteed rate, 3.75%. But as time passes, what do we notice here? Stronger cash value performance with that Whole Life 100 product. So we're going to look at some options. We're going to level the playing field and look at what I think is more of a fair comparison here, which is a high early cash value with a 1090. But before we do that, let's look at some compensation here, because I did say we would do that. So let's isolate these two examples. Remember the whiteboard with the commission, how that worked in the first year, 55%, this guy 11%. So let's have some fun here. Got commission rates. Pretty cool, right? We can lay all this out in a spreadsheet. So total payment, $100,000. We pulled these rates from the insurance carrier. And this is just a nice simple spreadsheet so we can calculate what commissions will be. Cool to do that, right? Depending on your definition of cool. So 100,000 goes in. Whole Life 100 product, 1090 design. $10,000 base premium, 55% base commission rate. So no overrides, no goodies in this example. That generates the $5,500. We've got a $90,000 PUA. The PUA payment in this example does cover the term rider as well, and the commission rate is identical to the PUA commission rate, covering the cost of that term, that is. Level term riders are different. They pay a higher commission than what we see here. 2% commission rate. 2% of $90,000 is $1,800. So if I was a new broker and received 0 overrides, I would receive $7,300 in the first year. Compared to the high early cash value product, what do you notice here? Same 100 goes in, $40,000 base premium, 11% of $40,000, that's $4,400. I've got less going toward PUAs, $60,000 at 2%, $1,200. Total compensation, $5,600. So when I look at these two, in the first year, who made more? The broker, that is. The broker that sold the Whole Life 100 product in the first year. Now, as we look at time, as it continues to pass, by the second year, what happens? Well, same thing, 10K base premium, 5% renewal, gives you a $500 renewal commission. The PUA commission rate is the same, $90,000, 2%, same $1,800. The total commission that year is $2,300. And in the first and second year, the brokers earned $9,600. Versus this guy, 40K base premium, same 11%. PUAs are the same 2%. So you earn the same $5,600. Your total is now 11.2. Which broker has made more? Higher cash value. If you look over the 10-year period, assuming the client continued to fund it for 10 years, $56,000 in total compensation compared to the whole life 100, literally half. And over the long haul, who had more money from a policy cash value and death benefit standpoint? The whole life 100 individual. So this is really the kind of stuff that people like to see up front. I mean, some people, not everyone asks for this, but it's perfectly fine to ask. It's your money going into policy. Ask what's going on. There's the compensation there. Now, we're going to get a bit more creative and have some fun with this because this is important. What we will look at next is higher cash value product, what we just looked at. We'll look at the whole life 100, the higher cash value, and then another higher cash value, but with a minimum base premium. And here's where you'll see if all things are truly equal from a design standpoint, meaning the policy is set up for maximum cash value, the commission will be minimized, regardless of the product, and the broker or agent will make about the same at the end of the day. The main driver of an agent's commission, no matter how you slice it, will be that base premium. The higher the base premium, the higher the commission, and often what happens is the higher the base premium, the lower the cash value. And this is true in every case when you focus on the guaranteed values. Non-guaranteed values, the 80% of the cases, 90% of the cases, minimum base premiums will have the most cash value. And when you look at actual performance, we've always seen it to be the case, meaning minimum base premiums generate greater cash value, emulating what the guarantees display from an actual performance standpoint. So what do we have? Whole life 1090 on the left, high early 4060 on the right, high early 1090 on the far right. What this column represents, this cash value difference, is how much more or less you have with the 1090 high early cash value product compared to the 4060. So that cash value column is not looking at the whole life 100 at all. So first year, 10% base premium with the high early cash value. Look what just happened. Beefed it up even more. We've got a term insurance rider attached to this one. $3,600 more in the first year. Breaking even between years 4 and 5. That's more like it. And then by the 10th year, you've got $37,500 more in cash value. Very, very quickly, just to touch on this with the design. So this is designed very similar to the Whole Life 100 product. When we take a look at it here, here's our high early cash value 1090. There we go. There's my 10K base premium. I would make a couple tweaks to this if I wanted to fund it for a longer period of time, but this is close. $92,000 in the first year, $505,000 in year 5, just like the Excel spreadsheet. And if we scroll down here, there's my MEC limit at 100K in this particular example. So let's go back. And what do we notice as time passes in this particular case? Go down to this. The fascinating thing about this is you've got the same company, same product, same individual, same health rating, everything's identical, but by simply redirecting where the money is going, the consumer comes out way ahead from a cash value performance standpoint, guaranteed and non-guaranteed. The other piece that's good to be aware of is by reducing that base premium, you also gain more flexibility. If life happens and I can't pay 40K, but I can still pay 20K or 10K, I can still easily pay the base premium. And if I can't pay anything, the policy can easily pay for itself. All it has to cover is the base premium. So that's interesting. Let's look at our last interesting scenario, which is throwing one more in. These will all be 1090s, but because the question was based off a 10-year funding scenario, We threw a 10-pay policy in there as well. If you wanted to go longer than 10 years, 10-pay doesn't allow for it. But that 10-pay, check this out, has the lowest guaranteed rate at 2%. So guaranteed rate, 2% with 10-pay, 3% with the higher early cash value, and then 3.75 with the whole life 100. But what do you notice here? First year, almost 90% right out of the gates. The 10-pay product, this is specific to MassMutual, their 10-pay and 15-pay product, those do have lower PUA fees as well, which do help offset the lower guarantees when you compare the guaranteed values, but it does help that upfront cash value, and being that they are limited pay products, that long-term IRR potential is stronger with them, just how the product's built. Crossover point, year 4. The dividend rate comes down a little bit, that will be year 5, but regardless, looks strong there. We're at year 4 in this particular case. Funded it for 10 years, and what do you notice here? These are all minimum premium designs. 1184, that high early 1090 is 1138, so you're almost at a $50,000 difference by year 10. That's substantial. And then with the whole life 100, 1098. If you continue to scroll down, you're going to see the same thing, but just amplified. Let's scroll down so I don't just say it. I'd be one of those guys. Let's actually look at it here. Okay? So we can go down as far as we want. Let's look at year 40. He's 80 years old. And what do you notice from a different standpoint? You're close to $5 million on the 10-pay. Now, these are all illustrations. Things change over time. Tracking actual performance is something that's extremely important to see what actually happens. But all the same company here, just different products. These are all identical designed as far as a 10K base premium, 90% PUA. We've got everything juiced to maximize the cash value. Let's wrap up with the compensation here. And let's look at 1090 compared to the 1090. There we go. The whole life 100 compared to the high early cash value product. And what do you notice here? Now, when all things are truly apples to apples from a design perspective, first year, 7,300, high early cash value, 2,900. Substantially less initially, but what happens over time? Whole life 100, $28,000, high early cash value, $29,000. Not much of a difference when you look at the two. $1,000 difference over 10 years, which is literally an average of $100 per year. So it's not huge. When you look at the two difference, it does become really a matter of preference. It's always a matter of preference for the client. But as you look at these two, this is just spreading it out over time. Really, when you look at it and get an extra $1,000. Let's look at, I want to show the 10-pay compensation, but I do want to hit on the overrides as well. I know people are curious about those. So just real quick, overrides, that enhanced commission rate just shows the bonuses that agencies and companies will pay brokers and agents if they've been in the business for a while, doing a lot of business. So what you'll see here, in this particular case, 93.5% on the base premium in the first year. PUA, there's no overrides, not with MassMutual. First year compensation, $11,150 total when the client paid in $100,000. And these overrides do not impact your policy performance. I just want to make sure I hit on that point. It's just additional juice the insurance company gives the broker so they keep bringing them business instead of other carriers. And these are low when you look at what some other smaller companies pay out, significantly more than what we see here. Over here, high early cash value with that 40% base premium, $8,000, almost $8,700 in the first year. When we look at the 10-year total, there we go, 71.4 compared to the whole life 100, 31,850. Look at this. So that enhanced commission, that override with the high early cash value is the first 5 years. So when we hear 40/60 with no term rider gives more cash value to the policyholder as a result of the agent sacrificing his or her commission, it's like, no, that's not really how it works. when you really look at it from a full breakdown picture. What do the commissions look like year over year? It's important to be aware of that. That's the override commissions there. You can look at the same thing with an equal design. Perfect. 1090 to 1090. What do you notice? Literally the same $1,000 difference. All right, so if we just wrap up with seeing the performance and compensation side by side, everything's juiced in this example, all 1090s. And what do you notice here? The example that gives the policyholder the most money, so if you're the policyholder and you say, okay, I don't care about commissions, throw them at the window, the agent or broker should be paid no matter what, which I agree with that, but they shouldn't be paid more as a result of sacrificing my cash value. That's what upsets people. So we just want to hit that nail on the head. What do we notice here, though, when we look at the side-by-side comparison? Whole life 100, high early cash value, 10-pay policy. 10th year, you've got more cash value substantially. First year, made about $5,500. Over 10 years, you've made a total of about $26,500. What's that look like compared to the other minimum premium designs? The example that displays the most cash value for the policyholder displays the least compensation for the broker. And these are with overrides, these examples here, just to be clear. So these are the higher max compensation rates, are very, very close to the max. But it's interesting stuff, isn't it? So what I did mention I would show, I don't want to forget this, is an example of the policies side by side, what it looks like if you keep funding them. So this is actually on a 35-year-old male. Let me get rid of this one in the middle, make it a click bigger. So now we see a whole life 100 compared to a high early cash value product. And this is where they kept on funding it through age 65. And this was actually part of the study when we analyzed for a 35-year-old individual. Did one big policy make sense, or did having 3 separate 10-pay policies make more sense? So a 10-pay at age 35, then start one at 45, and at 55, there's the combined values. And we compared and contrasted that with the big policy, the whole life 100 product. But anyway, we've got another video on that. Just type in multiple 3 10-pay policies, multiple policies or one policy, and you'll see that study. Hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it informative. If you did or did not, please let us know. Leave a comment below. I do look at those. We'll be happy to answer any questions or prepare additional case studies. If you did enjoy it, please hit the like button, subscribe for more, and as always, I hope this helps. Thanks so much. Hey guys, Steve Parisi here. If you enjoyed the content you just saw, please subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell for future videos. If you'd like more information or to see some custom policies for yourself, feel free to call or email our offices at the contact information below.